Hello, wonderful people. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's been a while. I know it's been a while. It's been a month, if I'm correct. Ooh, it's been a while. It's been a while. Sorry, as always. Sorry. Um, a lot. I'm trying to juggle a lot of stuff. I'm trying to juggle work, being in a new city, my blog, and just a lot. A lot has been going on. So I apologize. I know I promised to be consistent. I have not followed through. I'm sorry. But thank y'all for still rocking with me because I'm checking my algorithm. I see people still tuning in, um, listening to to older podcasts and everything. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. As always, a little bit of housekeeping. We are now on YouTube. Those who are listening on YouTube, welcome. I'm gonna try to kind of summarize older episodes in new podcasts and everything because a lot of stuff that I talk about is like a journey. So if you've watched previous episodes, then you'll understand the context of what I'm saying in your episode. But because people get fresh information as they come, I will try to sum like if I'm gonna make a point that I've already made in the past, I'll try to summarize it for you guys. But yeah, welcome. I actually thought about creating another podcast that will correlate with my blog because I have a travel blog. Those of you who are always on my travel blog, thank you. I appreciate it as well. So I'm thinking of having an audio form of my travel blog that I will be posting only on YouTube. And so that means I have two podcasts now. So I have this, which is more political, which is more fun, heavy. Whereas the other one is more about my travel adventures, things to do, how I was able to travel for free 3 times. So make sure you check that out. I'm gonna start posting podcast episodes during the week. So this will go out on August 5th. So I'm expecting to have the first travel podcast out maybe by Thursday the 9th, I believe. So please be on the lookout. Check that out, and you can also go to my website, seetheworld.com. See is written as CY. So seetheworld.com, where it's all about traveling. Please subscribe. I'm creating a lot of freebies. I'm creating a lot of things that I want to give back to you guys because you guys are giving me a lot. So I am also trying to do my hardest to give back and everything. So I have a lot of plans. By God's grace, if everything goes well, I am hoping maybe by next year I will start doing like travel giveaways. When the income is is well, I will start doing travel giveaways because I love traveling and I want other people to also experience the benefits of traveling. So yeah, please check that out. Subscribe. You will get a free printable once you subscribe and everything within the next 24 hours because I sometimes take a while to go to my MailChimp email list to check who's there and everything, who's new. I'm still trying to figure things out, y'all. I'm still trying to learn a lot of stuff. I'm creating my first course, my online course and everything. So there's a lot going on. So y'all, please keep rocking with me, please. I already appreciate you guys. I will appreciate you even more. Yeah, and I'm the type of person that is really big on giving back because I'm so grateful. If you've been in this podcast or in this community, you guys know that I've gone through a lot. So my way to thank God, my way to show my appreciation to God is by giving back. So yeah, I mean it, y'all. But today we're gonna talk about a topic that has been heavy on my mind. We're gonna talk about breaking away from tradition, right? What is tradition? Why are they important? And do we have to break away from them, or do we have to incorporate them in our daily lives? Like, whose tradition is more valuable than the other, right? Because as a minority group, as an African, as a Congolese person, there's always this. I always grew up with this idea of keeping up with tradition, right? I've always labeled myself to be, oh, like I'm a tradition, like I'm a mix between the modern woman and the traditional woman and everything. And then sometimes it's like traditional in what context, right? Traditional in what context. And this mindset actually came about because I'm also dealing with my own traditional fight. I think I've been dealing with traditional pull since I was a younger kid. Like, I grew up outside of my native country, which is the Congo. Like, both of my parents are from the Congo. I spent my entire life in the diaspora. I've never been to the Congo. So it was very important for my mother for me to learn about the Congo, learn about traditional stuff, about Swahili culture. I vaguely know about the Luba culture and everything. So there's a lot of like tradition. There's a lot of way of being. There's a lot of way of acting and everything. As an African in general, we have traditions, when it comes to marriage, right? For example, like, regardless if I marry a white guy or I marry an Indian guy or whatnot, like the men have to give my parents a dowry, right? And I remember, like, I used to be very against that because in the past some men have abused this idea of the dowry, of like, oh yeah, if I give a dowry, then that means I own you, when the dowry is not a symbol of ownership. Is a symbol of appreciation, right? You're appreciating the family for giving you the wife that you have fallen in love with, right? That's how the dowry is supposed to be thought as, because of a lot of things, because of poverty, because of colonialism. The dowry has shifted, right? It has become a means for some parents to enrich themselves. So some parents will ask exuberant amount of prices and everything, creating a lot of tensions between the man and the woman. Something that started as pure love becomes a tool for hatred, right? Because then there's this mindset of like, I didn't marry you, I bought you. So I've always been like, especially since some of our tradition is very patriarchal, where it is where some people view it acceptable for a man to hit you, for a man to discipline you because they own you and everything. I've always been like, listen, I do not want to do the dowry because then this bastard is gonna think he owns me and everything. And imagine being with a white guy and they be like, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for me. The historical context is not favorable to me, So you're just like, I feel bad, But then it's like, but no, it's a tradition. Like, it's even the Bible, right? Jacob, actually, yeah. So that's where it came from. Like, Jacob had to pay the dowry, right? And he paid it through working for Rachel's father, right? So he fell in love with Rachel. And then the father was like, well, in our culture, the older sister has to be married first. So you have to work extra hard to get the one that you want. And he had to work another 7 years. So he worked a total of 14 years, right? So it's this idea of a man, like, I don't know, proving himself to the in-laws. And in a lot of African cultures, it's also like a way of appreciating the parents of your bride, but it's also a way of saying that I'm showing that I'm capable to take care of my wife, right? So I'm giving these as a way to show gratitude and to show you that where she's going, she's not gonna lack. She's not going to come back here and cry for food and everything. So it's also like a way for a man to show that he's able to provide. for your daughter and everything. So then father's like, okay, he was able to give us this, and it's just some traditional stuff, right? So when you look at the different contexts of that, you feel like, oh my God, part of it is a little bit barbaric, part of it is always this, it's always that. And then so as a kid who grew up in diaspora and you're being taught this, you're like, which one do I keep and which one do I not keep, right? Which one do I continue or which one do I not continue? I've always said that I don't know if I would like to take a dowry, like I don't know if I will accept a dowry for my daughter and everything. But then, to be honest, it's not even the woman's choice. It's actually the father's choice. So if I marry an African or I marry a Congolese man and we have a daughter, yeah, that man expects you to pay for a dowry. Now, if I marry a white guy, I don't know, like if he wants to kind of like recuperate what he spent on me through his daughter. So who knows, right? So you're always confronted with these ideas of like, how do I keep some tradition of my countries of origin or do I not? Especially when you move to a country like the United States or a country like Europe or Australia, there's always this, as a foreigner, especially a kid and especially a woman, you are combated with this idea of like being a modern woman or being a traditional woman. So in this context, being a modern woman is like, oh, do I become American? Do I act like an American woman? Or do I act like, or do I still act like Congolese woman? And those ideas get so mixed up because in the context of the United States is a blend of cultures, right? The United States is commodity, is a blend of multiple cultures. So there's no such a thing as like an American woman. What defines an American woman? Because within the American woman, there's the Black woman, there's the Asian woman, there is the Hispanic woman, there's the white woman, there's the Eurocentric woman. So when you say become a modern woman or be an American woman, what does that look like for you? And then sometimes you're like, well, because the Asian woman combines her Asian tradition and everything, blah, 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 like in me becoming an American woman, I can also combine my Africanness, my Congoleseness to make up my own American identity, right? And theoretically, yes. But then there's a lot of things that come to play that makes you wonder if you can really break away from tradition. I was watching 60 Minutes Australia and there was this story on this 20-year-old girl, Zakaria Hadari, who was an Afghan young lady who moved to Australia from Afghanistan. And then in their tradition, forced marriage is allowed, right? What we call forced marriage, or what the West call forced marriage, is called marriage in their culture, right? Or in a lot of culture, there's a lot of marriages that do not look like Western marriage, right? Like I was having this conversation, like not a conversation, but a couple of days ago, I posted a picture of my friend who just got married, and my cousin texted me because she thought it was my engagement, and I told her like, no, those are not my fingers and everything, and then she was like, oh, because I would have said that was because I would have assumed, because yeah, so she thought, and then she said something about, oh, because that would have been weird, because that would mean that was a fast engagement. Now, her supposition, her I don't know how to call it, is wrong, because like I could be with somebody that she did not know about for almost a year, and then we decide to get married. So labeling it a fast engagement would technically be wrong, right? Because like I've never expressed to her about what's going on in my personal life. So I understand how she can call it a fast marriage if she did not know anything about my personal life, right? But then I remember I gave her like a rebuttal of saying that no, there's no such thing as a fast marriage, because in a lot of like what you define as a first marriage for your perspective is not a first marriage for somebody else, right? Because you can meet somebody for 2 months and then you guys have this out of the world connection and then you get married. To some people, right, it will look like a fast marriage, but then to you it will be like, I feel like I've known this person my whole life and everything, so like I'm with this person. So even the way we label things, right, in our definition of forced marriage is like, well, the girl did not want to get married and then the family forced her to get married to this person. But then in her culture's in her cultural perspective, it's like, well, she's at an age to get married and have children, so she should be married. And in a lot of culture, parents make the decision for the kids. So you go from your mama house to a man's house, right? And she lives in Australia, in a country where she feels like part of that country's theory, she wants to adopt part of that country's theory, right? And then she's living between two worlds, because inside her house she's Afghan, outside she's Australian, right? And I understand that so well because that's what happened with me, or that's what continues to happen with me, and I'm trying to break away from tradition, because then I always wonder, how do I break away from tradition? And then something comes along, the fact of like, it's hard for a lot of minority people to break away from tradition because what they are trying to fight is bigger than them, in a sense of, you feel like you are choosing a foreign country over your country of origin. And that's a violent decision to make. I always tell this story when we moved to the United States, and then I saw the way Africa is perceived in America, the way Americans, regardless of their race and everything, they had very degrading mindset towards Africa. They thought it was poor. They thought everyone, they thought we live with lions and everything. I remember as a kid feeling like I'm gonna prove you wrong. And I think I live my life with that mindset. Everywhere I go, I always have like, okay, I'm gonna show you the best that Africa provides, right? I'll show you I will be the smartest that I can be. I will be the friendliest, the this, the that, because you already have a bias towards me being African. So my entire childhood, my entire teenagehood and everything, growing up in America, I was very calculated in showing the best of Africa, right? So even when people will show some weird thing happening in Africa, I will act like it doesn't exist. I'll be like, nope, that's in the village. And then they'll be like, but it's still in Africa. I'm like, nope, that's in the village. Because we do not have the luxury as Africans or Afghanistan or as Middle Eastern to prove that we have good stuff in our place, because for centuries our countries of origin or our continent of origin has always been seen as less than, right? So our cultures have always been seen as barbaric, uncivilized, backward. So you feel the need to defend it. Even if you don't believe in it, you feel the need to defend it. Because you're like, you already think awful of where I come from. So even though I don't agree with some of the stuff that's happening in my culture, the bad things that happen in my culture, but the fact that if I agree with you, I am betraying everything about my culture. I am betraying even the good because I've decided to agree with you on the things that are on the things that are bad. Because you have no idea that there's also good in my culture. All you know is that there's bad. So if I agree with you, then I prove your point. So you feel protective of agreeing with things that have no sense in the world, right? I remember one time I was having an argument with a classmate in my political science course on African politics. I'm the biggest critic of African politicians, right? I will be able to tell you how ineffective they are and everything, but he mentioned it. So I had to do the when point is taken, but you want to prove a point, so you have to go to a very unintelligent reasoning. Even though what you're saying is true, right? Because it's true that a lot of the problems that is happening in Africa is due to colonization, right? It's true. But that doesn't also negate that our politicians do not do anything to help people live healthy lives, So if somebody's talking about a president mistreating his people, you're like, well, you guys did it. So it's so you're pointing so you're attacking the person, and you're not really solving the problem. So I do that. So I go in on this guy to shut him up. So, the best way to shut up a white guy is bring up slavery or colonization. And intellectually, I know it's a lazy read, right? It's a lazy thing to do, right? Intellectually. So I do that. And then as we walk out of the class, we used to have this screen, in the library. And a bunch of Ugandan parliament members were fighting inside the parliament. Now, this guy, he tried to be smart, and he was like, oh, I wonder where Uganda is from. And I was like, well, technically, we don't count it as Africa. We don't count that damn country as Africa anyway, so so your point is not taken. So you feel the need to defend the defense, you feel the need to defend some stupid stuff because you feel like you have to be protective of things, right? So in the case of this young lady in Australia, she died a couple of weeks later after her forced marriage because she was not behaving like an Afghan woman to this Afghan man, right? She died. And because she died, her mother was arrested. And the twist in not even the funny thing, but the twist in this whole thing is the reason why she didn't want to tell people at school or her teachers that she was being forced to marry somebody she doesn't love, because she was trying to protect her mother. And here comes another thing about breaking away from tradition, is that not only are you trying to protect the tradition itself, but you're trying to protect the integrity of the people who believe in the tradition. You don't want your mother to get in trouble in a foreign country because there's this understanding of wow, this is not our country. She's a foreigner. If they arrest her, she will be miserable. You don't want to betray her. You don't want to make her look stupid for believing in things that are deemed to be barbaric in this country, right? You don't want, nobody wants their mother to be seen as backward. Not only your culture to be seen as backward, but the person who birthed you. There's this fundamental attachment that you have to the people who believe in your country's tradition. So you try to protect them at all costs. And then this girl, she put herself in danger, lost her life, and what she didn't want to happen, her mother getting in trouble, ended up happening. And the thing is, let's say the guy stabbed her and then she survived, and then her mother went to jail. She didn't die, but she survived the stab wounds and everything, but her mother still went to jail. I can only imagine the self-hatred she would have toward herself. I can already imagine the shame she would have. She would not be able to enjoy life in Australia. Being that modern, quote-unquote, modern woman would be like people, her community, which she close to, which she cannot break away from because it's still a part of her, right? And that's the thing that people don't understand about being immigrants or being like multicultural or being raised in a multicultural setting. It's like I cannot choose which team I belong to because I belong to both. And you judging me is adding more pressure to what I'm already going through. Me, for example, when we moved, like, although I am a child, like, although I'm a first generation immigrant to the United States, I felt like both, right? Because in the sense of, like, I came here as a child, so my integration to American society was faster than my mother's. So I became the mediator between my mother and the United States, right? So I had to do a lot of stuff and everything. So even though I was tired and I was like, I had my own stuff to deal with and everything, you're juggling with a lot. You're juggling with a lot. And I feel like the pressure is usually on immigrant women than it is on immigrant men, because I don't know of a culture where being a quote unquote traditional man is viewed as less than. Now, some people can agree about like, yeah, like, a man should not be hitting a woman, blah, 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 blah. But that exists within every culture. So there's no such thing as a traditional man and a modern man the way there is about a traditional woman and a modern woman. That battle with men does not exist because in every culture, being a macho man or like a man with authority is acceptable, right? So men do not have to go through this. And then it feels like, although men are seen as of the people that carry out, the last name, right? Because when I get married, I'll take my husband's last name. So on my side, my last name, like my father's name would no longer have value, right? Because my kids are going to have their father's name. He's not going to have my name, right? Although boys were regarded as people who carry the last name, I feel like women are the one that carries the culture. Women are the one that have to carry the tradition, right? Because when you think about it, when I have my child, whether I marry another African or a white guy or an Indian guy or Chinese guy, who knows? My culture will be dominant in my kid's life, right? Because I'll be the primary parent. So they will have to learn Lingala, they will have to learn French because those are the languages that I speak. So if I don't speak my husband's language, then his culture comparing to my culture will have like a lesser impact in our children's life because they're going to be spending more time with me. So I'll be the one transmitting my tradition to them. So women are the one carrying the tradition. So women are the one who feel compelled to kind of keep up with traditional stuff, right? I look at my niece. My niece is a byproduct of my brother, who is a Congolese man, and an African American woman, right? She spent most of the time with her mother. My brother does not speak French well. He doesn't speak Lingala well. So he doesn't transmit the language to her. So my niece will predominantly be raised more in this sort of like African American culture than she will be in a Congolese culture. Although she will eat the food and everything, she's used to that, but like with language and travels, she'll be more on her mom's side. So the mother is like the women are the one that kind of they're the one that continue traditions. Hence why it's hard for us to break away from traditions. And now this girl lost her life. She lost her life. And this man admitted that he killed her because she wasn't behaving like the woman that she wanted. And you're just like, my God, how do you break away? Like, is it even possible to break away? Because there's a lot of real worldly things that makes it hard for a woman to break away from tradition. Especially when you're a woman of color, you're an immigrant woman and everything. It's hard. So how do you do that? Because even for me, I'm trying to build this new life for myself and everything. So even my food choices, right? So I moved and everything, and even my food choices, like, part of me feels like, okay, let me do like the keto diets and everything. And I'm just like, dude, I'm African. I need my cassava. I need palm oil. I need this. I need that and everything. So I'm just like, and it's like, but and then my doctor was like, well, you can eat it with, you can moderate your intake of it. I'm just like, what? Oh no, right? So being a multicultural person is like, you're always battling with this thing, with everything, right? Because you're just like, even with my food choices, like I have to go on this like keto diet for health reason and everything. I'm just like, but I need my African food. Like, I need my African food. Can I have my African food? They're like, no. But yeah, so it's a hard concept to think about, right? It's a hard thing to go through. I don't know if anyone felt this way. If you have, please let me know. Give me your recipe, because child, I'm struggling with that as well. Sometimes it's funny because I was having this conversation with my guy yesterday, and I was telling him how before, when people will come from Africa and stuff like that, when they would try to date me, they will preface with this soliloquy, right? They will talk about how, yeah, they want to date me because they feel like, because I'm an African woman, like I'm more in tune with my culture and everything, they feel safe, like I'm not gonna require or ask of them to do stuff that American women ask and everything, blah blah. And I'm just like, do you know I am as American as the next girl? So they would talk about like, American women wants PDA. They want to be told I love you all the time and everything. And I'm just like, that's what I want too. so this sort of like, so the fact that they have these biases and everything. So they felt like, because I'm an African girl and like, I know knowing the culture doesn't mean I agree with all of it, right? Because then they'd be like, and I'd be like, but those are the stuff that I want. They'd be like, but you're African. I'm like, who the hell told you African women don't want that? They just make it easier for you to think they don't, but they do. I do. And then they'd be like, yes, I guess you're white. I'll be like, yeah, I guess so too. And that would be like the end of the relationship for me, right? So yeah. It's a hard world. It's a hard world that we live in, but what can we do? Okay, y'all, I will end here. Thank you so much for listening. Again, please check out my new podcast, my travel podcast. It's going to be out on Thursday on YouTube. Always check out my blog. There's always something new happening. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.